Well, we're here in the MDI shop at the high school, and I'm with Bruce Munger, who's the technology, tell me again?
Technology education.
Okay.
Tech for short.
Tech for short. And this is a huge room, and this is part of our Meet the MDI Teacher series. And behind us is our welding stations, and behind the camera, there's all sorts of metalworking. And this brings me back to terrible memories of when I did metalworking in Saltus Grammar School in Bermuda in high school. And my poor metalworking teacher, it's amazing that, I mean, we all would start banging, and we'd all think we were in the band because we'd all be banging at the same time.
Well, that's the key, is banging at the same time. Then it's musical.
Oh, but it used to drive him crazy.
Yeah.
So this is amazing here. How long have you been here?
I came here in 1990, and I taught for about 7 years before that elsewhere.
Where did you teach before coming here?
I started out at Oak Hill High School, and then went to Scarborough High School, and then to here. So
okay.
It took me a couple of tries to get it right.
So you've been here now, this 25 years?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah. It's my dream school. This is the best place to be.
Well, all right. So tell us why MDI is such a great school to be at.
I was not raised here, but like many people, I was attracted here by Acadia National Park. And I literally put a compass on the map one time, so I need to be within 1 hour of the park. So I went out 50 miles and drew a circle. And then I could drive 25 miles to work, so I went out 75, and I swung a 75-mile radius circle. And I would need to find a job inside of that radius. Wow. And the pinhole from the compass is sticking in the school. The school's right in the middle of the island.
Is.
So when you know what you're looking for, you have a better chance of finding it. So it's definitely my dream come true.
So this shop has had to certainly have evolved over the 25 years. I mean, when you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 welding stations, I mean, you probably had, those are relatively new, I would imagine.
The whole school had a beautiful renovation in around 1999, 2000, somewhere around there, for which we're deeply grateful. This was the automotive shop at one point, and there was the metal shop was over in the other part of the hallway. And we did a reconfiguration, and it's much better suited here because we have the access with the doors to bring stuff in. The equipment's evolved over the years because behind here is gas oxyacetylene welding. Right. And of course over the years we got arc welding, MIG welding, TIG welding, and it's a very well-equipped shop. We have all of that. The milling machines and lathes. The first school I taught at, I would love to have had a milling machine. And then when I came here, we had 2 of them.
Wow.
So it's really a well-equipped place. And during that renovation, they really improved the ventilation and the lighting and plumbing and everything. So when we turn these fans on, we got to turn it off so you can hear right now. But when we turn these fans off, it'll suck the tonsils out of a giraffe. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It'll actually slam the door shut in the classroom.
Wow.
So it's great to have that quality of airflow. So we breathe better. Same thing with the sawdust. Really good lighting. It's a beautiful, beautiful shop.
So this is open for, is it
everybody.
Upperclassmen or just ninth graders on?
Everybody.
And I mean, they're learning real world skills here that they could go out and work in industry.
Yeah, well, that's what I love about it. You've got the choice. You can use these skills as a homeowner for hobbies. You can make a living with it. But whatever you do, it's really beneficial if everyone understands that they have some basic technical skill level, so that you're not at the mercy of people, and you have to believe everything that they tell you. You know, even if you never can do another good weld, if you really can never do a really good weld, at least if you know what a good one looks like, then you can choose accordingly. That you can tell if something's well built or not. So these skills serve everybody. And over the years, I've had the valedictorian before, and I've kind of framed his course evaluation because I didn't know at the time that it was going to be valedictorian, but I remember how well written it was. And he explained that, hey, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. It's challenging.
Oh, yeah.
So somebody could come in and learn and struggle with some basic stuff and still get out with a little bit of skill. Someone can come in with all kinds of creative ideas, and they can aspire to that. So we really have something for everybody.
So a typical course consists of what?
Making sure that people are qualified at the basic level and giving them the freedom to move as far as they want.
Okay, so it's metalworking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have metal and power.
Okay.
We used to be two separate courses, now it's one. So the metalworking skills are what you need to work on engines, et cetera, automotive, small engines. Woodworking, furniture, cabinet design.
Wow.
And then there's a design class with drafting.
A technical drawing?
Yep. And
I'm horrible at that.
don't tell me you can't do a straight line. You need a straight edge for that.
I have to, I mean, I went to Bermuda, and I was a year late going into, I moved to Bermuda from Florida. And so there was the option of Latin or metalworking, woodworking. And because I had missed a year of Latin, my parents signed me up for metalworking and woodworking, and including in the woodworking was technical drawing. And
it still looks like Latin. You can't quite figure out what you wrote down on paper.
I cannot read a blueprint. I don't see in 3D.
It's hard. It's hard to look on a piece of paper and imagine 3 dimensions. It's very difficult. You look down, it just looks like a box. You can't picture how much space it takes to move things through. And that's a big part of the development of spatial relations, is to really understand how things fit, what they are in relation to other things. When we talk about measuring skills, it's not just reading a ruler. It's how to locate things in space, where they are relative to other things.
Yeah.
And it is not a low-level skill.
No, by any means. I still
Things are just floating around out
I
there,
still sit
never
here,
land.
and this I can't remember his name all of a sudden, but
Don't tell me his nickname. We're on camera.
No. Twirl the pencil as I was going with a T-square. Twirl the pencil so it stays sharp, and the line would always supposed to not be darker in one end than the other. And theoretically, I understand all that.
Yeah.
Practically, there was no way.
There are some tremendous benefits now with more advanced technology. Because we can see things in 3D. There are CAD programs. You can get in and fly around through things and see stuff. We can draw it down.
Do you have a CAD printer here?
A lot of times we don't print anymore. Now it stays on the screen. We used to have a printer, but a lot of stuff now just designed on the screen and it stays on the screen. And if we print it, we'll just scale it down so it fits on a regular printer instead of doing a full-size set of drawings. And then on the screen, you can always zoom in to see what you need.
Yeah.
We've been doing CAD for quite a while. I designed my house with it, and it was beautiful to just take a sink, put it in here, take a bed, put it in, move them around, put them wherever you want, spread them out, and then put the walls in between them. Instead of trying to just start out with a box, hey, okay, here's my house, I got to fit everything in, and when you move in, you can't get the couch to the door. So it's much better to design around the stuff, and actually to design. Rock Cavano told me a great technique. Instead of looking at nouns, look at it verbs. Don't think of it as the kitchen. Think of it as there's food preparation, there's food consumption, there's cleanup, there's relaxing, there's sleeping, there's viewing, television, there's studying. And if you look at the design spaces that way, then you really place things the way that they should.
Wow.
And now we're about ready to buy a 3D printer.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So that
couple weeks, I think we'll get it.
That stuff's amazing, though. I mean, so how does that even work? I mean, so
Can I pause that for a second? I'll get you a sample.
No, just tell me.
Okay.
I mean,
it's called printing, 3D printing, because you lay down a bead and then put another one on top of it. It's like hot glue, essentially.
So that's how it works.
Yeah. So if you put down just a little dot first, and then 4 dots on top of it, and then a bunch of dots, eventually you form a ball, because
I mean, I've seen arms being made.
as you're laying it up, a piece at a time, you put just drops, so you can have something that comes out, curls around, and twists, and something's already inside. You can build a chain that's already run. You can get an adjustable wrench with the gear in it already. Theoretically, you can build an engine with a piston inside of it with the rings on it.
And this is just like glue dots?
The original stuff was ceramic.
Yeah.
You would put down a powder, they call it a dough, and a flour, and then you put a hardener in it, and that would turn it into the dough, and then it would harden, and it became the ceramic object. And the powder that was around it that didn't get hardened held it in place so the ball wouldn't roll away. And when it was done, then you blow away the powder, and there's the ball.
Wow.
Inside the cage.
Yeah.
Now we do it with a thermoplastic, something that can be melted, and you put down a dot at a time, just like printing. And
it takes hours. I mean, some of this stuff.
The more complex stuff does. Some of the simpler stuff can come out pretty quick. And again, you're designing on a screen. In 3 dimensions. You may design the front view, the side view, and the top view, and then put them all together to get the 3D. Or some of the programs, you actually start out in 3 dimensions and then just dump that information into the device. There's also water jet cutters. There's lasers.
I've seen those.
So the same kind of stuff that you design here can be exported to some other kind of a machine.
Wow.
And then they can cut it out or drill the holes, put what they want. In this case, instead of removing stuff, we're putting it together. And they're actually developing it's not, I don't know, it may still be called 3D printing, but now they're getting it to the point where they can actually put metal in.
Wow.
So you can, I don't know whether you're doing it at its molten point or whether you just fuse it together with powder, but it takes a metallic quality when it's done. But they're,
those aren't cheap.
No. No. The 3D printer that we're getting at is under $2,000 now. It used to be $10,000, so I waited long enough for it to come down to where
they're only $2,000?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
I mean, you say that only $2,000.
It's a lot of money.
Well, I remember when fax machines first came out. I mean, I ran the Ramada. We leased our fax machine, and it was on, obviously, the thermographic paper. Nowadays, everyone, you have a printer, you have a fax machine. People have them in their homes.
We're lucky because in the world of technology, the research costs are the most expensive part. Once it's built, then you produce enough, the cost starts coming down. I had a great experience one time. My father-in-law was an accountant, and he had an old adding machine. He said, Bruce, you want this? It's got some moving parts. It might be interesting to show the kids. Oh, absolutely. So I came in with the adding machine, and I plunked it down. It was like a typewriter. It was heavy, heavy-duty thing. And I was showing the kids, this is what it's like when I was a younger Munger at the store. Like, okay, get a can of soup, 2 cents, to 2, chick, 7, 2, plus. And a piece of paper came out, and all it did is add and subtract.
Right. I know exactly what that is.
And then you tear off the piece of paper. There's my receipt. Okay, it comes out to $1.73, $1.73. Push it down, the flags come up, the drawer comes out, make the change. Here's your receipt. He writes it down on a ledger. And that was the state of the art. This thing, all it did is add and subtract, period. And I tell the kids, well, now I have a machine that'll add and subtract, multiply and divide. It'll do square roots. It'll take pictures, and it'll even make telephone calls. And it's only this big.
Right.
So we're so much better with our materials that if you look at what went into that adding machine, you can make a lot of these. So we're doing so much better with our materials now. We're a much more advanced civilization in so many ways, but it's all built on the same roots. So we find it's really crucial for people to understand the basics, and then you can build on that and predict what's going to happen in the future and be on the front edge of the wave instead of being the one that got run over by it.
I mean, technology has changed so dramatically. I mean, when I was in high school in Bermuda, which was, I graduated high school in 1978. So you figure, okay, so what's that, 37 years ago. The technology back then, there wasn't satellite television. I mean, we used to get the cans, the CBS News would be flown over and we would see it a day late. I mean, now everything's instantaneous. It's video on demand. It's music on demand. I mean, the technology. I mean, it was black and white when I was.
And it was this big.
Oh yeah.
And at 11 o'clock, there goes taps and the national anthem, whatever, and then there's a test pattern. It's over. And now we get 24-hour TV, 24-hour news.
Oh yeah.
And that's another part of what we try to teach. The difference between, I'm sorry, in my grandfather's day, it was manual arts. They teach farm kids how to run the new equipment that comes out, engines and stuff. And then it developed into industrial arts. We needed people for certain industries, and that especially part of the war effort. Okay, we need people who can do this job, and this job. My certification was industrial arts and technology education. I was just at the point where we were changing over, and we were trying to, well, what is that really? And technology education anticipates future changes, but also the consequences from it. What are the drawbacks of having too much information?
Right.
We can't go to sleep at night because there's too much noise. People have trouble getting up in the morning now because you get 24-hour.
Well, you get a weather alert. You get there's a flood warning. You get texts all the time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we think there's, and I don't know, I have to really calculate it, is there really more catastrophes in the world, or do we just hear more about them? We hear about every murder, we hear about every flood, everything. So it's dealing with that as well. So it's not just the stuff, it's what the stuff does and what we do with the stuff, so we can make some really good decisions. So when I was going into teaching, I had a good background already in technical stuff. I worked construction and several other different things, transportation. And so a friend of mine told me, you really enjoy showing people how to do stuff more than you like doing it for them, because I was giving away jobs by telling people how to do it themselves.
Right.
What are you doing? You just threw a $50 house call. He's got a sticky wooden window, rub some wax on it, it's good.
Yeah.
I said, why'd you tell him about the wax? Well, because I want him to be able to do it.
Right.
So somebody just said, you should be a good teacher. And the more I thought about it, I loved history and English, and I thought about being a teacher in one of those fields. I went to Orono, and the guy looked at my background and he said, yeah, you can get in, because I already had some college before that, psychology degree, psychology major, not a degree. And he got looking and said, you can have that degree if you want, but there's not a lot of jobs out there. With your background, go in industrial arts. They're crying for teachers. You go anywhere you want. And it was a great bit of advice. But now that I'm teaching, it's still there. I am teaching history. I am teaching English. I'm teaching science. I'm teaching math. I'm teaching a language. I'm teaching art. And I love it all. So this place gives me the chance to do it all. And it's a blast. We got the best toys in the school. And
oh, yeah. There must be an incredible demand for these classes.
Not enough.
Not enough.
It's better than it used to be, because we're still fighting that balancing point. We're really encouraging everybody to go to college, and unfortunately there seems to be this separation. Well, you don't need this if you're going to college, and to me, well, you can use this if you're going to work. And when I hear that, I say, wait a minute, what are you going to do after college? Aren't you going to work?
Right.
It's really something that everyone should have. So we've been wrestling with that fork in the road, that split, that balancing act, that wrestling match, whatever you want to call it. It's been an issue for forever, since I've been in it. But this school has made a good commitment to it, that there is a 1 credit requirement for graduation in what we call the life skills.
Okay.
Either tech, business, or family and consumer science, which used to be called home ec. The practical arts. And every kid goes through taking something. So we're fortunate to have more people get this. Not just not my job. I get all kinds of work I can do. I'm not trapped by a job. I chose this one. But I'm really happy for the students that they have the same opportunities, that they can do a lot more in their life because they have a lot more.
What about? But the battle of the sexes. Do you have a lot of girls that are taking this, or are they afraid and just not aware of?
Not enough. We're still trying to get over those hurdles. I've talked to several women, my wife included, who have said, well, they told me I couldn't take that class. And I said, who told you? The teacher or the guidance counselor or some other adult that recommended, because we've never turned anybody away.
Right.
We've never had that line, no girls allowed, no whatever.
Right, obviously.
And I've got 2 daughters, and I'm adamant when they were growing up, look, you need to know this stuff. And one of them was more naturally inclined to this than the other. And she would crawl underneath the car with me when I was changing the oil, and what are you doing, Dad? Well, why do you do that? Well, what is this? What is this? She was just naturally inquisitive about it all. And she ended up, she went to another school, and she did take a tech class, even though she had learned a lot of it at home. She grew up with home improvement projects. We were doing wiring and everything in my house. And now, that did not hold her back from going to a competitive school. She went to a very competitive school and did well in that. And at this point, she's in her 2nd year of dental school.
Oh, wow. Where's she going?
She's University of New England.
Okay.
And she worked for 2 years with an orthodontist. She's done very well in her class. She's got a lot of respect from the other people because she's tool savvy. She's not afraid of anything. She'll get right in and do stuff. She doesn't mind getting her hands dirty. She's not daunted by complex equipment and the risk of breaking something, etc. So those skills brought her to that point. And the valedictorian that I told you about years ago, I don't think there's any. I think we're at the statute of limitations with his name now, but his name was Da Chang. And he was a great kid. And I remember the day that he came in excited, said, hey, I got in, I got accepted. Harvard or MIT? Both.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, it didn't hold him back. He's going to be a better doctor or a better engineer, whatever he chose, because he has that technical background.
Well, and like you said, I mean, just the ability to know how to. I wish I had that ability to know if this is a good job or if it's a bad job, or if how to make simple repairs. I mean, it's just. I mean, thank God my wife is better at it than I am.
That's what my daughter's husband said too. He said, Mandy, you're my handy woman.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean,
I'm glad you brought that up.
My wife says to me. And people will say, well, oh gosh, your house is really nice. You must have done a great job. And I look at them, I said, no, my wife did all this. She did the skim coating, she did the painting, she did all that.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up, because that is the goal. We don't want people to be held back. We spend so much time making sure that people aren't just competent, but that they're confident and comfortable with their language and other skills and stuff. And then you have this whole technical world, and well, you'll learn that in the School of Hard Knocks. What is that, Siberia? We're going to send somebody off to this horrible place. You're going to lose a bunch of money, ruin your relationships. You're going to be in terrible health and all kinds of stuff because you got to figure it out as you go. It's cruel, and it's so there's so much freedom when you have these choices. When you can pick and choose, you don't have to change the oil, but if you know how, if you want to,
right.
I can do it at half price. I've had somebody strip out an oil pan plug before because they tightened it too much. Same thing with an oil filter. There's a bit of grit and it was leaking. If I do it myself, I can be fussier with it. But at the same time, if I choose to hire somebody else to do it, I know that what kind of oil should be put in there. I know how often it should be put in. I can tell when it's done whether they've done it right or not. If I'm going on a trip, I can check to make sure that I haven't lost any. So just, you don't have to do everything. But if you understand how stuff works, you're a better consumer. And the doctor too. I know I talked to a doctor and a bank president, who both said how happy they were that they took these classes when they're in school. The doctor said it makes him a better doctor. Not just, he's a surgeon, not just for the technical stuff that he does, but also that he can relate to his patients. Well, how'd you hurt yourself? Right. What happened? He can counsel them better because he understands their livelihood. The bank president, Sheldon Goldthwait, told me that he said it taught him a sense of logic that he never learned anywhere else. And he says he runs his bank. He diagnoses his bank the same way that he would diagnose an engine. There's money coming in one end, money going out the other. Just like a lawnmower, it's gas in and grass out, but a lot of things happen in between. And if it stops happening, you know where the problem might be. So you can diagnose things, whether it's the flow of money, or the flow of electricity, or the flow of water, or just a karma in the world. I mean, it makes you a better detective. You understand how, what things happened, why they happened, why they stopped happening, what to do to make them happen again, and maybe who to call. when I talk to a mechanic, if I go in and I just say, hey, my car's making a funny noise, that's good. No, it's not funny.
No,
you said it was funny.
Right.
You know, instead going in and telling them, hey, my car's making a real high-pitched squeal when I turn to the right. Okay, that's not a clunk. No,
right.
It's okay. You know, you give them better information, you get better results, and they get at it quicker, and it costs you less money.
Right.
And you get better quality work, and you get the respect of that person too.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's like learning a different language.
Like I said, I teach language.
Yeah.
Among the other things.
So, what's the one thing, if you could change anything, and maybe you've described it, but what's the one thing you do differently, or have students do, or?
Respect.
Okay.
Because that's what's keeping the kids out of here. That's what's separating.
Is it respect because they don't respect kids who come in and do tech, or is it just they?
Just overall. I wish we had the same respect that other people have for their chosen field.
Okay.
That there are people, well, geez, he's not very smart, but he's good with his hands. I say, no, I've met him. He's not very smart, period. You think he's good with his hands because he just bangs, he keeps busy, you know? Or the kid that, well, he's not very smart, but he's good with his hands. Well, you know something? The reason he's good with his hands is because he's really smart.
Yeah.
He just doesn't like the test that you're giving him. He doesn't want to read the book that you're telling him to read. He doesn't, because he doesn't see how it's applied. But when he gets into his realm, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
He's the person who will come up with that hovercraft that runs on rock and roll music or whatever we want to.
I was going to say, if you don't respect a plumber, just have a plumber come to your house for 8 hours and then get the bill,
Yeah.
and you're going to respect a plumber.
Yeah. Well, a plumber once told me, because we tend to think of the drain side of the plumbing, but this plumber once told me that, he says, I bring clean, fresh water into people's homes.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people in the world would love to have that? Most of the world doesn't have that.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's a noble thing to do.
Yeah.
And that's part of the respect, is that understanding that it's because somebody chose that field for a reason, respect them for it. I've got a tremendous amount of respect for anybody who's good at whatever they do.
Sure.
If they've chosen it for the right reasons, not just monetarily, they're really passionate about something and they're good at it, then I respect them. So I just wish there was more respect across the board, not just for this area. We too often divide ourselves. We look at our differences rather than our similarities.
Yeah.
And it leads to all kinds of problems in the world, not just technical things. There's all kinds of political problems. There's all kinds of relationship problems because we just get into this instead of this,
Right.
And I just think a lot of it is a lack of respect.
What's the one thing people don't know about you that you're ready to confess to now?
I can't confess to it on camera.
Well, everybody else has done it. You said you haven't seen these, but 20 of your compatriots already have.
All right. Well, whatever they did, I probably did something similar. No. Oh, that people don't know about me.
I mean, you're at every basketball game. You're at every athletic event. I mean.
Well, they know that about me.
Yeah.
They see me. Oh man, that's a tough one. What do they not know about me? I don't know what they don't know.
What do you like to do in your spare time?
I really, I'm a humanitarian. I really love people.
Okay.
But I think most people who know me know that about me. Again, that's why I get into this business to help other people help themselves rather than just doing it for them, that kind of thing. I'm a volunteer firefighter, but a lot of people know about that.
For what department?
Sullivan.
Okay.
A captain over there. I've been there for 25 years.
I was on the Block Island Rescue Squad, and I'm telling you, it's changed a lot. But if you want to get involved in a community and you think you can do this, there's such a need for volunteers right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, my goodness, I remember carrying a fire hose, fighting a fire for about 5 hours, and we tried to play softball that night. And none of us could raise our arms to bat, so we had to stop. I mean, everybody, all the guys on the island were there, and it was more like cricket, you're right, because nobody could get their arms up at all.
Yeah, it's demanding. But there's other things. There's stuff I've done with church, with friends, with family. I'm definitely a people-oriented person. I love things. I mean, I'm fascinated by how things work.
Do you like to take things apart?
Yeah. And sometimes I even get them put back together.
With all the parts. Oh, that one extra spot, who needs that?
Yeah, well, I think that's what, if you're looking for the kid if I'm looking for the future doctor, I want the kid that's playing with the dolls and just kind of check and see how the parts move around like that, or they cut them open and see what's inside of them. What kind of stuffing is in this puppet. That kind of stuff. Or they get the bird that comes in, and they want to nurse it and feed it. That's the doctor.
Right.
The technician is a kid. When I got toys, I'd take them apart and see what's going on inside. I had more fun with the box than sometimes in the thing that came in it. I make all kinds of crazy stuff out of cardboard. I even told my kids, look, when I die, go down to Brown's Appliances, tell them, hey, Dad needs one more refrigerator box.
All right.
Paint it up nice.
The camera's yours. What do you want to tell the people watching this?
Be thankful for what you have. This is the best place in the world. I've searched around a lot and, again, settled on this part of the world for a reason. One of my goals is to visit all 50 states. I've been to 49 of them.
What's the one you haven't been to?
Alaska.
Okay.
And next year, probably the year after that. This is a beautiful place. This is a wonderful place. Take care of it. Be good to the people around you, because we can make our world better or we can make it worse, and we really have a lot to do with that. And thank you for making all of this possible, because this really is my dream school. It's a wonderful place, and I'm really grateful to be here. I got a great family. I got some great friends. It's easy to count your blessings when they're all around you. You see people who are just making life worthwhile.
Yeah.
And to have this magnificent stuff. I wrote an editorial a few weeks ago when everyone was complaining about the cold and the snow. And okay, I get it. I know it's tough. But when I woke up this morning, my alarm clock woke me up on time. A timepiece that keeps perfect time. When I woke up, I turned on the lights, and they came on. I'm not living in darkness. Yeah. The house was 60 degrees inside, even though it was 6 below zero outside. And turn the knob on, it comes up to 70. And I got a coffee pot with coffee, coffee grinds from Colombia. I got, I got sugar from a plantation down in Caribbean somewhere. I got, a piece of bread from grain from the Midwest and baked at Pepperidge Farm and delivered to my house fresh in a plastic bag with peanut butter from the South and jelly from the North, all living in harmony on my daily bread. We have so much. We're so lucky. And when we complain about all the small stuff, it really drives me nuts, because you look around, you don't even have to look around, you just know there's so many people who are so much worse off than we are. Yeah. But God bless them, they're doing pretty well with what they have, and I've done pretty well with nothing back in the day. I mean, I spent my last dollar on a bag of carrots because I got the most food for the least money, and I didn't know where the next dollar was coming from. It wasn't like I was just shopping around getting the best value. I mean, I've been there. I know what it's like, and it's okay if you do the best that you can. But when you have so much and you don't appreciate it, it's really awful. We get enough to share. So I think that's part of the inspiration that drives me, that sometimes when you give stuff away, you end up with more. It wasn't just Jesus and the bread. I've seen a great sermon in church one time where the priest let the kids light a candle, and I'm like, oh no, they're not going to do that. Oh, the carrots, where's this fire extinguisher? I'm going to, all this kind of stuff. But they got through it. They lit the candle. Oh, first of all, it was just little gifts of Christmas presents. They're all wrapped up. Open up, it's chocolate. Oh, kids happy. Hey, you want to share some with your friend? Oh God, this isn't going well. At first, it looked like the sermon was really going downhill, and then he takes out the candle. Oh no, this is going to be horrible. And all of a sudden, he lets it. Would you like to light your friend's candle? Oh sure. And he lights a candle, and they're all got the candles going. The lights are down. They look like little angels. The whole church is lit up. It's beautiful. Okay, but he blow the candle out. And he said, well, what do we learn? The gifts of the flesh, you never have enough. You don't want to share them. You kind of hoard them. You don't want to, you're never satisfied. The gifts of the Spirit, the more you give away, the more you have. The whole church got lit up because that one little candle that the kid
from
had.
one.
Yeah. So it's just, life works that way, that if you really do good stuff happens. It doesn't seem so complicated, but I don't know why people can't figure it out.
That's a great way to end.
Yeah.
That's a good way to end.
Thanks.
Thanks
for doing this. I
Oh,
appreciate
it's
that.
my pleasure. That's this week, Meet the MDI Teacher with Bruce Munger. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Check out all the other videos we have, not only in the Meet the MDI Teacher series, but on the WDEA YouTube channel as well. Thanks.